Hello everyone, I'm Michelle Smith and welcome to my channel. I have an Easter sign for you today. It has an absolutely adorable bunny on the front. All of the materials, with the exception of the paint, come from the Dollar Tree. The tools that you're going to need are your glue gun and glue sticks. You're going to need some craft sticks, some paint brushes and something to put your paint in, some sandpaper, a good pair of scissors, and some jute cord. You're going to need a flathead screwdriver. You're going to need some Mod Podge. And you're also going to need something to fill the holes on the sign. I have this plastic wood. It's a professional wood filler. I picked this up at Lowe's. But anything, even if you have like plaster or anything like that, because we're going to paint over it, you can also use hot glue. The materials that you're going to need are some white paint. I have some apple barrel paint. I really like this paint. It's inexpensive and easy to find. You can get it at Walmart. This is a big bottle. It's 8 fluid ounces. You can get this for about $2. They also have 2-ounce bottles of the white for about 50 cents. Now I grabbed 2 more colors of the apple barrel, khaki and nutmeg brown. I'm going to be using this to help antique the board and the background. And then for antiquing, I also have the Waverly Antique Wax. Now the apple barrel paint and the Waverly Antique Wax can be purchased at Walmart. The antique wax in a small container of about 2 ounces is about $3.47. You're going to need one of the small pom-poms out of this yarn craft kit. You're also going to need the galvanized words, Happy Easter. You're going to need one of these cutout wood bunnies. You're going to need 2 of either the love signs, the beware signs, or 2 of the long Easter signs. You're also going to need some wrapping paper or some decorative paper. This wrapping paper I got from the Dollar Tree. This is what I'm going to be using today. They have a really, really nice assortment of floral, plaid, polka dot, all different types of patterns of spring wrapping paper. Any of that would do. Just pick something that you like that is in your style. Okay, and then you're going to need something, some small blocks. You can use these. This I found, they're foam counting blocks. You get 50 in a package. I found these over in the teaching tree. In their craft section in some of the stores, you can also find a package of small wooden blocks. You can use those as well. Or if you have any small pieces of scrap wood that are the same height, you can use that. In all of my craft videos, you want to make sure to check the description box. In the description box, I always leave a very detailed list of all the tools and materials needed to do the project, as well as the total cost of the project. Okay, let's go ahead and get cleaned up and we will get started. Okay, so the first thing you're going to want to do is go ahead and cut the little ribbon that it had to hang it, and then we're going to remove the little metal hearts. Now these suckers are on there really well. You're going to need a flathead screwdriver and just get in there and slowly work that puppy up. They glued that down very well. Now the only problem with them gluing it down so well is that it really lifted up a lot of that paper. That's okay. Just go ahead and use your sandpaper to smooth out any rough edges. I was hoping to use this side because I really liked the gouge of the wood, but with this I'm not going to. We're going to turn it over. We're going to use the back instead. So the first thing that we're going to do now that we got our little hearts off, and go ahead and keep these. These will be good to use in some other future project. You want to go ahead and make sure you line these up the best that you can to get them nice and even. And then you're going to need 5 of the large craft sticks. You can use the smaller craft sticks if you have them, but then I'd use a couple more. And then I'm going to use these to attach the 2 signs together and to make them nice and sturdy. So just run a hot bead of glue down the stick, making sure that they're lined up. Go ahead and place down your first stick. Place one down at the opposite end. One in the middle, and then one on either side. I have all 5 of them down. That feels nice and sturdy. The next thing that we want to do is we're going to go ahead and fill the 2 holes at the top here that are in the middle. We're going to use these 2 on the outside to hang it, so we need to fill these 2. Now if you're going to use hot glue to fill the holes, you'll want to put like wax paper or parchment paper on the back. I'm just putting this down so anything that squeezes out on the other side I can clean up. Now we are going to paint this so you won't be able to see whatever you use to fill it with. So if you have caulking, or if you have wood filler or hot glue, any of that will do. Go ahead and fill in those holes. Just using the craft stick to help me get it in the holes, and then I will, once I get those filled, it'll help me get it nice and smooth. Just keep pushing stuff in there until it looks like it's nice and full. Okay, so my holes are in there. It won't take very long to dry. Over. Just kind of clean up the back side too. Now I'm just going to set that aside and let that dry. Okay, next you want to take your little wood cutout bunny and take your wrapping paper or decorative paper, whatever you're going to use. Just kind of lay your bunny down and just do a rough cut around your bunny so that you have enough paper to cover him. Set that aside. Then you're going to need your Mod Podge, a cup, and a sponge. Go ahead and take your bunny and you want to put a nice coat of Mod Podge down all over the bunny. Now it is made of wood, so you'll notice as you put it down that it will start to absorb some of the glue. So you may have to go over it a couple times. Make sure that you get a nice even coat. So I usually just start off, I put a lot down so I can get over the whole shape rather quickly. You don't need to worry about the little hole that will be covered up with the paper so you won't see it. Now if you like hauls, crafts, and DIYs, please make sure to subscribe to my channel. I do upload new content several times a week. Okay, now we got them all nice and covered. There is still quite a bit of glue on there. So now that I've got it on there, I'm going to work on getting it more even and removing any excess. Go ahead and take your paper and gently place it over your bunny. Make sure that you get good coverage. Then start from the center and just gently make sure that it's down. This is one of 3 in a package. It's called a paint spreader. You can purchase these from Lowe's. They're about $3 or $4 for a package. Now the wrapping paper is kind of thin, and when you do deal with thin paper, sometimes you have to go back over the top. You can also use fabric to cover the bunny, and if you use fabric, you absolutely want to put Mod Podge on the top and the bottom. That way it'll help stiffen up the fabric and make it much easier for you to cut. That you don't have any fraying when you're cutting. It stiffens up the fabric. It's nice. Now Mod Podge does dry clear, so you don't have to worry about that. Now I'm going to let that completely dry, and then we'll come back and I'll show you how to remove the paper off of the bunny. Okay, so while we're waiting for the bunny to dry, the holes are nice and dry now, so I'm going to go ahead and take some sandpaper, and I'm just going to go over those and get them nice and smooth. And now I'm going to go ahead and paint the base of our sign all white with the apple barrel white paint. I'm just going to go ahead and use my big brush here because I just want to get this done quickly. And I'm going to go over the base and give it a good coat of white paint. Now you can use whatever white paint you have. This is a white matte color. So any white matte or white chalk paint that you have will work. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to get my base coated. It's probably going to take 2 coats to get a nice coat. I'm also going to go ahead and paint the back. So once I get that done and everything is dry, I will be back. Now my bunny is all dry. So the first thing that I did was I went through and just did a rough cutout all the way around to remove the excess paper. And now you can use your sanding block for some, but a single piece of sandpaper will work good. The bunny has a lot of little curves and dips, and the single piece of sandpaper will work better for that. But for larger areas that are straight, you just want to make sure that you support wherever you're going to sand because the wood is not that thick. And then you want to go around the edges and you want to pull down and out. This will give you a really nice clean edge all the way around. Much better and much faster than having to cut. And it comes right off. And it gives you a really nice clean line. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do that and clean up all the way around my bunny. When I'm completely done with that, I'm going to put one more coat of the Mod Podge over it to make sure that I get a good seal all the way around those edges. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do that and set him aside and let him dry. So the bunny has been cleaned up all the way around the edges, and I went and put another coat of the Mod Podge over the top. Everything is nice and sealed and dry. I'm very happy with the way it's come out. I think it's so cute. So next you're going to go ahead and turn it over. And then you want to pull out 6 of these little blocks. Okay, so you want to get all of these glued down in this position. Once you've got that glued down, you're going to want to paint all of the green blocks white so they don't stand out. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do that. We'll be right back. Okay, so my board is all nice and dry. I only had to do one coat on the back, but I had to do 3 coats here on the back side to cover up the red, but you cannot see it anymore. And now we're going to go ahead and do some distressing. Now these paintbrushes work very well. You get them at the Dollar Tree for doing distressing. They work very well. So all you need to do is just take a small amount of paint, very small, as you want to do what is called a dry brush. I'm going to start with just a little bit of the darkest color here, which is my nutmeg brown. Get just a little bit there, and then just slightly go over and brush. All I'm looking to do is just add a little bit of texture, and so that it kind of looks like wood. And just by dabbing a little bit into the paint, taking off any excess, and then doing a quick brush through. Do a little bit with the dark brown. You can do as much or as little of this as you like. Then once you get the dark brown on there, then go ahead and add a little bit of the lighter brown or the khaki. And again, a very small amount will go a long way. Make sure there's a little bit on the brush, and then go ahead and do your striping. You want to just make sure that you keep going in the same direction so that everything is moving in the same way. And don't worry, if you feel that you get too much on, like if I feel like I got a little too much there or a little too much there, I can just go ahead and put out a little bit of the white and do the same thing with the white and go back over it. Okay, so go ahead and de-stress your board. I'm very happy with my base. I did go over it with a little bit more white and lighten up some of the areas that I felt I got a little too dark. I'm really happy with it now. I'm going to go ahead and set this aside. On the bunny, I have all my little squares glued on, and I did go ahead and paint all the sides. I didn't paint this because this is what's going to get glued down onto the backing. Now I'm going to do a little antiquing to the front of the bunny. It's a little too bright and cheery to go with the backing, so I need to antique this a little bit. And I'm going to be using the Waverly Antique Wax. If you've never used this product, I highly recommend that you get some. You can find it at Walmart. You can get a small bottle for about $3.47. I just poke a little hole in the top because a little of this goes a long way. Just put a small amount out. I like to use this type of a sponge when I use this product. Just get a little bit on the side. And then I like to start out by taking that paint going over all of the edges. And I get the majority of the paint off on the edges. Just work my way around. And then once I notice that the paint is starting to get less, then I go back through and just kind of pull around the edges. I want to soften this up a little bit. I don't want it to be quite so bright. Plus I want to darken up that edge. It'll help it pop a little bit more from the background. Now this isn't going to make a huge difference, but it will help soften the color a little bit and give it a little bit more dimension, a little bit more character. And it won't look so brand spanking new against the background. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to go around the whole bunny and do that to all of the edges. And then I'll come back and show you what it looks like. So I've gone around all of the edges and antiqued it and then came inside. Now you go through and kind of brush through. You can also, when you have, you have just a little bit, go ahead and do circles around the edges. And then I also kind of went in and broke up the inside. And it came down. And then where it was still really light, I just kind of brushed through a little bit. This needs to look a little aged so it matches with the background. So I'm really happy with that. It's still very pretty and bright, but yet now it has age and it'll match the background. So I'm going to set this aside. So now we're going to start working on making the background look like it's shiplapped. Now I want to do it the same way that it was on the back. I like that distance. So I'm just going to take a pencil and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to mark just a little bit at the top so I can see where each of these are. I'm going to do this at the top and the bottom. Now that I have my little marks at the top and the bottom, I can just line them up with my yardstick here. Any straight edge that's long enough will work. And then just put a light line with your pencil. So I have my pencil marks down, letting me know where I want to put my shiplap. Now I'm going to go ahead and use the same Waverly Antique Wax, but I'm switching to a little bit more of a fine point paintbrush. Just get a small amount on to your paintbrush. Go ahead and remove any extra. And then you just want to lightly go over those lines. You don't need a lot down. And it doesn't have to be real consistent all the way through either. You just want to make sure that your paintbrush has a fine enough tip. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just try to follow the line as best you can. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do that to all of the lines, and then I'll be right back. All my lines are done. Once you get them done, you can just go ahead and take a piece of paper towel and then just go straight down each line and change to make sure that it's completely dry. This way you'll remove any excess if you got a little too much off in one spot. Okay, that's nice and dry. And you just want to take your sander and just go down and lightly sand over each of the lines so that they don't look bright and fresh. Make it look a little weathered like the rest of the board. And there you go. Now everything looks evenly weathered. So let's go ahead and put our hanger on. I just cut a nice piece of the natural jute cord. I'm going to feed each end in through the front, through the hole. And then I'm simply going to tie a knot at the end. Actually, I'm going to tie a couple. so that it can't pull back through. Pull it up to the hole, lay it down, and then I hit it with some hot glue so it does not move. Okay, so you're going to want to do that to both sides. Okay, so now we have our hanger on. I've gone ahead and made sure that it's well glued down in the back. At this point, I've also signed my piece. And I will go ahead in the future and I will attach one of my business cards. This is a habit I'm going to start doing on all my pieces. Now we're going to start assembling. So that's how I'm going to lay everything out. I'm going to go ahead and get this glued down. And there you go. I have everything glued down. I went ahead and added the pom-pom for the tail. I'm very pleased with it. My cute bunny Happy Easter sign. Well, thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed this Happy Easter bunny sign. If you did, please give me a big thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe to my channel. I do upload new content several times a week. Thanks again for stopping by. It's always a pleasure to see you. You have a great day, and I will catch you next time.